welcome you to look at a few more watches with me today. Waiting for some people to join. How do people like the scheduling of these episodes? That I've been scheduling them? Are people getting reminders? I want these to be fun for everyone while we are at home collectively, waiting out COVID-19. And I just want to make sure that these shows work for everyone. The feedback has been great. I really appreciate everything that everyone said in the comments and everything like that. First of all, hello there. How is everyone doing? So I was told that I should call people out. So Hilux Taco, is that the best way of pronouncing it? And hello, Watch Addiction, Watch Reviews. Hello, Phil. This is cool. I really enjoy this. Do you like the Zenith Defy Classic? Yeah, there's some great Zenith Defies, but there's too many of them, so I'm not always sure exactly which one you mean. I need to see a picture. Hello, William. So I'm trying something out here. Oh, it's not working. I'm trying to have this screen on my computer behind me where I can see the comments a little bit better. So let me try to do that. Okay, so let's see how I can handle this comment situation here. And thank you everyone for the comments. Okay, so what do we have in front of me today? Some of these watches were out last time. I didn't get to them. So sometimes I'll have watches out here that I won't get to talk about yet. And then I'll go ahead and then chat about them. Octavio, hello. Lumtech M83. I know that watch. That's not here. But I will bring up this tracer. Hello, Tony. So this is an interesting watch. This is one of the Tracer. I think it's called the Officers in bronze. And Tracer is the in-house company of MB Microtech, which is the company that produces tritium gas tubes in Switzerland. So Tracer is their in-house company. Most of their watches are quartz, but they do make some mechanical ones like this one. This came out a few years ago. Yes, this is called the Tracer P67 Officer Pro Automatic. I don't really know what's officery about it. Of course, it uses tritium gas tubes in the hands and the hour markers. This version had a few dials, and I like this dial because it sort of matched the case color. Somebody asked me, will we be covering Basel World? Well, we'll be going to future Basel Worlds, I hope, if there's ever a Basel World again. There will be. Look, this is a very strange year. That's sort of a 1-2 punch against the watch industry. It's really challenging for everyone because first there was this whole financial situation, and then there was, COVID-19. So a lot of the brands have alternate plans, but the thing is this, how do you go ahead and release a bunch of watches if your factories aren't open and the stores that sell the watches are closed? So we're in a period of a lot of delays. Someone's asking, I think Oleg is asking, will brands do online releases? Absolutely. We've already been in touch with a number of the watch brands, and we're talking to them about, when are we going to see your watches and what's going to be planned. So we were supposed to go on some trips. Travel restrictions is still an issue. They don't have that many samples. So that means that they can't just ship watches all over the place. I mean, they can do that. I actually wanted to write an article about Rolex watch prices. Someone brought up Rolex. Yeah, this is a big one. This is this is like a 45 millimeter wide watch. So I'm trying to sort of mull through the scenarios on answering the question of this. Are Rolex watches going to go up in value or down in value? There's arguments on both sides. I believe that in the interim period, before we figure things out, Rolex watch prices will go down because people are not purchasing as much in a celebratory mode right now. And a lot of people who need money are going to be trying to sell their watches. So that's something which is going to be going on a lot right now. And that means more Rolex watches are going to come on the market and there's a little bit less demand. But in the long run, we have to remember that Rolex watches have a sort of currency style value. And that means that people who are worried about money and things like that will purchase it as an alternative asset. It's not like you're making a bunch of money in the stock market right now. Yes, prices are good, but once you've bought all the stocks you want, at some point, you look to watches again, and I think Rolex becomes pretty attractive. Also, you have to remember that the Rolex factory is closed down right now. So assuming things go back to kind of normal when this is all over, then you have a situation where people are going to want Rolex again, and ostensibly, because the factory's been shut down for no one's quite sure how long, then we don't know how many new watches there will be available. So maybe they'll go for even more of a premium because there's a legitimate good reason. I mean, everyone's been talking about how Rolex artificially limits supply right now, and that's actually going to be the opposite, which is they have to limit supply in the future, which is kind of interesting. So this is the Seiko King Turtle. There's 3 versions of it here on the desk, if you've noticed that already. This is the latest version of the Prospex quote-unquote turtle. They call it the King Turtle because it has a ceramic bezel and a little bit of a fancier dial and this wide magnifier. Somebody asked me if I sign NDAs sometimes with brands. Yes, we do. Someone's, hi, yawn. Oh, someone's tired. Hello, Canadian people spend more on watches. Is that true? I thought you had good prices down. Or maybe there's a tax. That's why. So this is actually the most conservative version of the King Turtle. It's 45 millimeters wide because it has a black dial. For whatever reason, the bracelet is only available with this dial color. I haven't sized this one yet. Yeah, so this bezel has been on a couple generations, but I think it is nicer than some of the older versions of the Turtle. But this is on here since the last generation, I'm pretty sure. Hello, someone from Humboldt. I saw that. Humboldt's got to be a fun place to be in California right now. And you're welcome, David, for doing the stream. You can do one too if you want. So that's the King Turtle with the black dial. Here's it with the green dial. This is sort of a hunter green. And I think they did a nice job there. I really like this one a lot. It's got this sort of mega tapisserie style dial, and mega tapisserie is the sort of raised tiles that you see on the Royal Oak watches. This isn't exactly the same. The strap is great. I don't know what it's about Seiko and Casio. It's like they've got this competition for who can make the longest straps. I think like the current generation Casio Rangeman, which I do not happen to have around right now, has the longest strap in the world. It's so long that I think Casio has actually prevented people from buying the new generation Rangeman, which is a little bit like a smartwatch, because the strap is so long, unless you have really big wrists, it doesn't make sense. I'm getting a kick out of some of the things you're saying, guys. It's a comfy strap, though. I think it's silicone, so it's not rubber. It's silicone, which actually they do a pretty good job. So yeah, so people are mentioning Archie Luxury. I know Paul. Paul is a remarkably sweet guy, actually. I think I did a big interview with him. I think we published it on YouTube, and I got a lot of flack for it from some of the aBlogtoWatch team and the watch community because, you know, Archie Luxury is a character, but I've known him for a while, and he's really a sweetheart. I mean, Paul's a really nice guy. He says some wild stuff in his videos, but he's a nice guy. Kissing is now allowed these days? I must have missed the comment before that. Okay. All right, so this is the Dietrich DD1. This is the newest Dietrich watch. I got to figure out how to do lighting in here a little bit better so we don't get so much glare. When I take pictures, people don't realize the lengths I go to reduce glare. Wait, hold on, I'm gonna try something here. Is that better? I don't know. Someone's saying that Archie's a cool guy and he swears a lot. That is his shtick, isn't it? He does swear a lot. I mean, look, to be able to go on the internet and have an audience of people and to say whatever you want without asking permission from anyone is a novelty that doesn't wear off very fast for some people. In a sense, it's almost a bad thing because the internet wants you to be crazy and wants you to say as wacky things as possible so people can get rewarded for it. It'd be really different if the internet was very supportive of, like, you know, down-to-earth, conversational, educational content. So someone asked me about this watch recently, and they said, is the case nicer than the case of the OT? And before this watch, Dietrich came out with a watch called the OT, which is standard for organic time. And that was actually the first, not the very first Dietrich, but the one that sort of put them on the map and introduced this hexagonal case style. And it was a 7 Friday competitor. The internet is supportive. Somebody insulting Archie. Okay, well, sorry, I'm trying to read all the stuff people are saying here. So the organic time was a 7 Friday competitor, the same Miyota movement, and it was like $700 or $800. And it was nice, but it was a little wacky. And I have some of them, and I really like those watches as well. And then they came out with the TC. Emmanuel Dietrich designed the Time Companion, which is the version on the bracelet, which I have over here. I talked about it the other day, but I'll just bring it back really quick. So there you can see the difference between the DD1 and the TC. The TC, they both have the same movement. They both have a ETA 2824 similar. Okay, I can't keep up with some of these comments. I got to figure out a better way of doing this. I want to respond. Some of them are amusing. But no one's asking about the Dietrich. Yes, the TC, this is the PVD one, so this is a PVD coded model. It comes in non-PVD as well with a few different dial colors. So this one, the DD one of the things I really like about it is about as the tambour. Okay, I'll bring that sometime. I'll bring that out. So this one is also PVD, but if you can see, it's a little bit more polished. And the entire top of it is a sapphire crystal. So this used to be a mineral crystal on the OT, and it's now a sapphire crystal. And you can see the crystal goes all the way. So it basically doesn't have a bezel. The crystal goes over the bezel. Yeah, this is actually not the stock strap. I forgot to mention that. So there's a black textile strap that comes on this watch. But as you can see here, you can just like pull the strap out. That's what I love about this strap. So it's a one-piece strap. Yes, I am responding to the comments. Yeah, thank you. If you ask a question and I don't get to it within a minute or two, it probably means that I didn't actually hear you or I didn't see it. So just go ahead and ask again. Anyways, one last point I wanted to make about the DD1 is take a good look there at the seconds hand. And you notice how it's bent? This is sort of a lost art form. There used to be a lot more bent hands, especially seconds hands. Yeah, this is a little similar to the Autodromo. That's true. I don't know that I've seen that Autodromo one in person, though. I wouldn't know how to compare it. I can say that the DD one's made very, very well. I'm not per se sure about the Autodromo's quality and stuff like that. I don't even know the price point. So you see how deep the dial is? The smallest markers are actually printed on the underside of the sapphire crystal there. You get the sort of multiple rings of the same hexagonal shape. And by seeing those rings again and again and again, it's quite flattering to the overall idea. Is there an advantage to bent hands? That's a very good question. Here, the bent hands is done because there's this layer right here, and the hand has to make good clearance. Or no, it's actually a little bit closer. That's why. It's bent up to be closer to the minute track. Most seconds hands are bent down. And the question about is it better, there is a legibility advantage. So you can read the time a little bit better when the seconds hand is very close to the marker. So if it's too far away, it's not as elegant as an experience. Okay, let's see what else can I pull out here. Okay, this is a funny one. This is the first out of order watch that I've played with. This is from their, I guess this is the Swiss made collection. This has, I think, an ETA 2824 or similar inside of it. Out of Order is an Italian brand that, plays with the idea of like sort of in-house damaged. And I wonder if it says it here. Yeah, it says it here on the dial. You can see it says damaged in Italy. Watch Gang, which is a company from here in Los Angeles, did a lot to popularize these. And Watch Gang is also the distributor of Out of Order in America. And apparently the brand has done quite well. This is, I guess, their nicest watch so far. I haven't sized the bracelet yet. So you have, it's a little bit of an amalgamated design. You know, there's nothing too original there. There's like, oh, there's a Rolex bezel and there's some kind of Omega-ish hands, and it's an amalgamated design, for sure. So sheer originality, I wouldn't give it sort of high scores. But for the price and sort of for the fun, I think what they figured out is the fact that these sort of organically aged watches do well, and if you sort of get it done right, it's very fashionable. So I think this is great. It's not the world's most impressive timepiece, but it's definitely a good value. I think the dial's done well. Purell, that thing, I know, right? It's fashion damage, but it's fun, and they say little funny things on there. So if you see here on the inner part of the flange ring, there's a message, and the message says something about like how long you're supposed to cook pasta. Like that's a good, they say that's a good thing that you can do with the rotating bezel, the diver style bezel, because you can measure how long it takes to cook pasta, and because it's Italian. Will I show any Rolexes on the show? Well, David, that's a good question. I might have to do that eventually. What I was thinking about doing actually is making certain shows all about one watch, and those shows being about certain types of popular watches. Like Ed from our team, our video producer, really wants me to do a show entirely dedicated to the Omega Speedmaster Alaska project, which I guess I could do. And we teased a little bit. I mean, I don't know what questions people would have, but, a lot of people haven't seen that watch, and it's fun. David just wants me to pull out some of the Rolex. I don't have a lot of Rolexes. I have a few. All right, someone asked about this. I feel this is fun. It's like all these watches are ones that have the most glare. When I take pictures of watches not to have glare in the crystal, I have to do certain types of tricks. But I think it's sort of not clear to people like just how much glare is on certain watches. Like, okay, I'll show you a watch that never has any glare, and I'll see how much glare it picks up. Okay, that's not much glare. I was going to talk about this in another show. This is the new Zin 206 Arctis. Isn't that a beauty? But they go crazy with AR coating. So in this highly reflective environment, almost nothing. This one does not have AR on the top side. You can see the difference. Watch reviews by J.J. Abrams. I don't know what that means, but that sounds, I guess, amusing. Will there be monsters in it? Someone's asking me if I'm Mexican. I am not Mexican. I've been asked before by Mexicans if I'm Mexican. And one time, and this is a true story, this happened, I told this gentleman, no, I'm not Mexican, and he asked me if I was sure that I was not Mexican, and I was quite confident in my lineage, or at least my knowledge of my lineage, and said, no, I am not in fact Mexican. I am of Eastern European descent. Well, there was an interview with me in a Mexican magazine, but I did that in English. So there have been a lot of interviews with me in different languages, but somebody translates it. Phil, I am sure. Look, I was on a plane, actually. I was sitting next to these two gentlemen, and just remember, they're asking me that they would not relent on the fact that maybe I was a countryman. So this is a Ventura, just by the way. This is the new version of the Ventura. So the brand went away. It's no longer run by the same people. Pierre Knobs, who was integral to Ventura, is not there anymore. And this is one of the V-Matics. The Pontiac Ventura. Yeah, that is sort of the logo there. This is a great watch. I think they brought this one back on Kickstarter, and I'm so happy they bought the brand. I actually have one of the original Ventura like high-end quartz watches. Let me actually find out where that is. I don't know where that watch is. It's somewhere around here. I'll have to find the other Ventura. It's one of the quartz ones that's digital. It's really cool. It's really, really cool. I've always wanted one of those. I'm glad I got one. So this is the new Ventura. It's this. They got another model coming out. I love the sort of modern kind of Bauhaus thing they got going on. But I mean, look at that bracelet. Like that's a legitimately nice bracelet. Feels good. I think they did a pretty good job. I think those are pretty nice. You're talking about well, I think Ventura is really confusing because there's the brand Ventura, and then there's the model collection within Hamilton, which is Ventura. And then if you live in California, there's the city of Ventura. And if you live in Los Angeles, there's the street Ventura Boulevard. So I'm constantly getting confused when someone says the Ventura, what it is that they're talking about. Oh yes, Ace Ventura, how can I forget? And if you're in Florida, there's aVentura. Yes, thank you for bringing up all the Venturas. There was also apparently an Explorer from the past, I think. That's where it came from. I've got a lot of Bauhaus watches. I might do like a whole episode on those. I'm like really into those. I really like Zemex, which is a brand that may still be around. Hamilton Khaki watches. So Beauty of Scent, interesting name, wants to know what I think about the Hamilton Khaki, which is, I will talk about the Oris after I allow everyone to feast their eyes on the Pramsius Berlin. This is the 42. The Hamilton Khaki, sorry. It's probably the best collection within Hamilton. They got some great stuff in there. Do you need like 10 of them? No. I would just sort of look closely at the collection. My favorite one probably right now is the Murph, as they call it, which was the watch that was from Interstellar. And great story behind that watch from Hamilton is that the watch was made as a prop for the movie. The prop masters had a specific like idea that they wanted, and Hamilton made the watch for them. And then people saw it in the movie. It was like, oh my God, I want that. So then Hamilton, like 2 years later, made the watch, but they really missed the window because the watch wasn't ready when the movie was ready. It was later. So anyways, the Murph is a clean version. It's got a nice color. It's a nice size, no date. That's a great version of it. But yeah, the Khaki is an amazing collection, but like it's too big, so it's hard to say universally get a Khaki. But if you had to have one Hamilton watch, yeah, it'd probably be a Khaki. So this watch is weird because it was created to celebrate the anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall. And in the crown here, if you can see, there's little rocks. Get a 38 millimeter Khaki. Yeah, if you like 38 millimeter, you could go wrong. Would that be example of Murphy's Law? Different Murphy. So anyways, these little rocks in here, apparently like from the actual Berlin Wall. And I always thought it's interesting to put this stuff in a crown. It's pretty well done. This apparently was a recreation of some actual graffiti from the Berlin Wall that was now in a gallery. And this version came with the sort of text in blue, like a more subtle blue, and then like this in red. I don't know. I thought this was a nice watch. It's a weird watch, but it's cool. This is from the same person, a guy named Craig, who's responsible for the R2A, Russia to All. So he was the guy that like brought Russian watches and Eastern European watches to the United States and to the internet. And then this is his own brand that he made. And this is, I think, not the first watch, but a cool one. This watch was interesting because it came in this 42 millimeter wide size, and then also, I want to say like a 47 or a 48, which was neat. Do I have any G-Shocks? Oh, do I? Yeah, I got plenty of G-Shocks. I don't think, I talked about a few G-Shocks in the last show. We could talk about G-Shocks another time. What do you think about Bulgari watches? I love Bulgari watches. You know, they're not all necessarily the going to be the right choice for you, but they have some great stuff out there. I have a couple of Bulgari watches. What else do I want to talk about? I mentioned this in a previous show, but I think we didn't make that show live. So the very first episode of this downtime series, what we did is not have it publicly viewed because I had an issue with the screen. YouTube didn't say to me the screen's upside down. People had to say, why is the screen upside down? I had no idea. So we decided it didn't look that professional. But I talked about this watch. This is an Orient Star. Bulgari chronograph. Yeah, listen, Bulgari is a great company. The watches pre-LVMH are good. The watches post-LVMH are good. They have a good history. For whatever reason, people have been hard on that brand. I don't know why, but there's a lot of great watches in Bulgari, like a lot of them. The women's stuff is so expensive. Well, yeah, I mean, they're one of those companies that wants to be a version of a Cartier or a Hermes or whatever you want to compare it to. The chrono on the table. Let's see how many chronographs. Oh yeah, I'll pick up the chronograph. So this is the Orient Star, and I think what's funny about this watch is the name. The name of this watch is the Classic Heritage Gothic. Classic Heritage Gothic. That's amusingly redundant. I don't like. What does that mean when something is the Classic Heritage Gothic? People are asking about Chopard watches. I also like Chopard watches a lot as well. I would say watches like Bulgari, Chopard, Bell and Ross. There's an element to them where they don't feel like as utilitarian. They're like feel too fashiony, but they are really good watches and they are good sport watches, and they benefit from being very sexy looking. So they don't get like the cred of like an Omega, but honestly, and a lot of times they're a much better alternative in my opinion. So this watch is 38.7 millimeters wide with an in-house made Orient movement. Orient is owned by the Seiko Corporation, but it's run by Epson and not by Seiko. So it's like another watch brand within Seiko. Someone wants me to take a look at some of the Chopard LUCs in 18 karat. Fashion isn't really the right term. Yes, it's a watchmaker's watch. I think the point is it really comes from their marketing. Chopard does not market their men's watches. They market almost exclusively their women's stuff. And that has a very fashiony vibe to it. So the perception that people have of the brand is very fashiony, even though the LUC watches are clearly a serious horological item. I like how this bracelet looks like it came from a Tag Heuer Carrera. The dial is, wants to be a little bit of a IWC Portuguese. Orient Star is their sort of highest end range. I like this watch a lot. Haven't sized the bracelet yet. The funny thing is the retail price of this is $800, but I haven't seen it for like a penny above $550 or $600 or even less online. So I'm not sure where you actually buy Orient right now at retail. But it's a nicely made watch. If you don't care that it doesn't have a lot of like personal distinctive elements, like it doesn't scream Orient Star. Like when you see a Grand Seiko, you're like, that doesn't look like anything but a Grand Seiko. This is still intentionally not trying to look like an Orient. And I don't know that Orient will ever get there, but it'd be really nice to see a little bit more of their, I'll call them their unique design DNA or in-house design language, so to say. I have a lot of Orients, and I have to say that when it comes to recommending watches for people that are on a budget or novices or just getting into watch collecting or simply want like a easy to wear, no nonsense mechanical dress watch, Orient is a great place to go. Okay, do we want to talk about the Norcane or the Oris? Watch on shiny steel bracelet or watch on shiny steel bracelet? Which one do we want? I'm asking the question also because I'm trying to judge what the delay is. Someone's saying Oris. That's not long delay at all. I'm going to wait till I have 3 or 4 votes. Oh, and Andrew wants the chrono. Someone's going to buy a Zodiac and blame me. Thanks, Running Dad. I hope to be the cause of your problem. And watches smoother than diamonds and other gems. They can be nice or they can be awful. Okay, I think the Oris wins. Don't worry, I'm going to get to them both. So I like this watch a lot. This is sort of the porridge is just the right temperature Aquis for me. It's also kind of generally like that kind of a dive watch. I think when I was writing about this watch, there was over 40 versions of the Aquis currently available from Oris. And that doesn't count their pro diver watches, which are also dive watches, and their just diver watches, which has like the Diver 65 and things like that. So at any given time, I feel like maybe they have upwards of 80 or 90 dive watch SKUs. The watch with the green background, I'll bring that up if someone didn't see it. This is an out of order. This is part of their Swiss made collection. The Automatico, which they really want to remind you that they're from Italy. And they are from Italy, so I guess they can self-deprecate a little bit. So once again, this is the 43.5 millimeter wide version of the Aqua State. This is the newest version of the Aqua State. There's little refinements here or there. Polished black ceramic bezel, deep metallic blue dial. I think it has a Salida in there. Bracelet's great. What I like about this watch, and this is, I've come to sort of appreciate this over time, is that it has a distinctiveness at a fair price point. This watch is, I think, retailed just over $2,000, which is, you know, it's a decent watch for the money, but the point is it doesn't look like anything else. And I really like distinctiveness in a watch. So if I'm going to buy a watch, I don't care, you know, who it's from personally, and this is me as Ariel Adams watch collector, I don't want it to look like other things. This watch comes as small as maybe, I think, 39 millimeters wide for men. Oh, there's the women's versions as well, so I take that back, even smaller than that. As a dive watch, 300 meter dive watch, it has a display case back, which is not as uncommon these days as it used to be. There's that red piece on the automatic rotor. The movement isn't exactly decorated, but Oris is known to sort of regulate them well. And one of the most distinctive elements here is a particular design of the crown guard. Oh, here we go. So Phil says that the Aquas comes in 36, 39, 41, 43, and then the pro divers come in even larger sizes. Alternative to a Seiko Monster? I mean, the Seiko Monster is a lot less expensive of a watch, so I mean, it is, but it's a more expensive alternative. I don't have that many Oris watches, but this one is a relatively recent one. I really like it. I personally went with Oris, or Oris went with me to get my dive certification. So a couple years ago, we did a promotion on aBlogtoWatch where myself and one of you from the audience went with me and Oris to Grand Cayman, and we got our diving certification, and that was a great adventure. So I actually remember wearing something very similar to this while learning how to dive. Is Eterna out of business? Probably. They'll come back. The owners aren't out of business. It's just they're probably in hibernation, or they're shut down. I'm just reading what people are saying about Eterna here. Someone is saying here, user is saying that Oris is evidence that watch pricing is not necessarily related to value. Look, that is true to a degree, but Oris has done things on purpose to keep costs low. So they do a really good job making a nice product, but if you know really nice dive watches and stuff like that, there is plenty of things that you can find on a $10,000 and up dive watch this isn't going to have. It's not. That's what I'm saying. It's a very good middle of the road. So for $2,000, it's a lot of bang for your buck. But there's definitely more things that you can get. There's definitely lots of upgrades and stuff like that. So I wouldn't make a blanket statement like that. But why do we have these shows? Why do we talk about watches? Why do we evaluate them? Why do we compare them? Because it's true. The price of a watch very often is not directly related to the amount of time, effort, and attention to detail that goes into it. Speaking of blue dials, I'll pick up the last version here of the King Turtle. This is the blue dial one. Isn't that something? I love that Fotina on the loom, that kind of cream color. It's just a nice color. It has nothing to do, sorry, the tags are still on there. It's got nothing to do with them trying to make it look old. It just looks nice. It doesn't always need to be white. These off-whites, they look nice. Blue, blue, my world is blue. Well, it is this week. Maybe this month. Maybe this quarter. Maybe this year. I think they did a really nice job here. So what I'm going to do with this watch, actually, if you remember, I don't know why Seiko always has so many tags. So if you remember, the black version of the watch has the bracelet. I'm going to swap these out. So I'm going to put the strap on this watch, and I'm going to put the bracelet on the blue. So I think that'll look nice. Put the bracelet on with the blue dial. I think that's the best way to go, because the blue one even looks a little bit dressier, and this looks a little bit more like a beater watch. and the beater watch I want to wear on a strap, and the nice fancy blue watch I want to wear on a bracelet. Blake says they do not go for hype. I don't like hype either. Best quality and lowest production numbers for reasonable prices. I mean, that's one way of evaluating it, but I wouldn't so focus on low production numbers. I mean, high production numbers give you an economy of scale and can get you amazing product. Casio, for example, has a high production numbers, and they benefit fantastically from an economy of scale. What you get in a G-Shock is fantastic. All right, I'm bringing up the reverse Panda. Everyone's been talking about it. The Norcane. This is the Norcane Freedom 60 Chrono. And I don't know that we've published a review on this one yet, but this is the bracelet, which I added after the strap. It looks nice on the strap. But the bracelet is really slick. This is from some of the same people that originally had Breitling before it was purchased recently and under new management. So Norcane is a Swiss brand, and this is the Freedom 60 Chrono. This is, I guess you could say, their flagship launch watch. What are people saying? Yeah, someone is talking about Glashütte Original. Fantastic, fantastic. This movement, this is the 28, I'm sorry, this is the ETA 7753, I believe. Yes, I can always tell because there's an inset pusher here that you need to hit to correct the date. And I do like very much this symmetrical layout that you have from the 7753. So the 7750 has the chronograph layout like this. There'll be the date there. But this is a nicer orientation. But for whatever reason, rather than adjust the date with the crown, you need to find something and push this in if you want to adjust the date fast. You can still advance the time, past midnight and adjust the date. Blake is happy that I'm doing the live show. I'm happy as well. Thank you very much for giving me a reason to do it, paying attention. I think everyone was kind of blindsided by what's going on right now. We're all trying to figure out the best thing of doing it. Toothpick is the best way. Look, Breitling is a brand that was cool and still is cool. They've always made watches I don't want. Every single generation of Breitling that I have been paying attention to for the last 20 years or so has had watches I would not buy, but also watches that I would buy. And that's the funny thing about Breitling. They're just one of those brands that can make like some of the Bentleys were cool, but I'll be honest, I did not want any of the Bentleys. It was just not my thing. I wasn't into the look of a lot of the Breitling for Bentley. But, I think a lot of people agreed with me. But they made a lot of other cool watches the same year that I did like. So same today. But I think today there's more watches I like. And there's stuff exactly like this from Breitling right now. Not exactly, but similar. Someone is calling me a rapper. Yeah, I guess. The Aerospace, yes. But I got to say, the new Aerospace, they messed up on the hands. And the old Aerospace beats the new Aerospace in regard to the hands, and I think they could get so much more sales out of the new Aerospace if they just improve the hands. And then they have the which is the connected version, which someone from our team has, and he likes it a lot. So I think Breitling should go a little bit more with the quartz watches. I think that's good for them. Good thing that George Kern, who is the person who manages Breitling right now, has said that they will continue some of those professional ones. Navitimer will never die. Breitling Seawolf Yellow Dial. That's a watch. That's an interesting one. I actually can't wait to see some of the new Breitling watches. That's one of the brands that I'm looking forward to seeing. I am really looking forward to seeing just all the brands out there. I want to see Rolex. I want to see Tag. I want to see Casio, Citizen Seiko, Grand Seiko. I should be there at this time last year. I think exactly this time last year. I was in Basel, and the whole aBlogtoWatch team was there, and we were just getting drunk on watches every single day. It was fantastic. Now I can't feed my addiction as well, and I'm angry at society. Thanks. Do I have people are wanting to see a Doxa? We'll try to find some Doxas to see. Omegas, I have some of those. I'll bring those out sometime. I'm trying to space this stuff out, guys. We don't know how much longer we're going to be in captivity. We have to pace this thing out. I mean, what is it, 10 or 15? It's 10 watches here. You guys are hungry for watches. G-Shock Frogman with a rotating bezel. Is that even a watch? Does that happen? Is that a thing? The one with the black rubber strap? This is the Ulysses Nardon right here. I talked about that the other day. Or this one right here? This the King Turtle that I just talked about? Is that what somebody wanted to see? Yes. It's for you, Phil. For you. So this is the one that I said I was going to put on the matching bracelet, because I think this is the dressier of them. If I had to pick one of the modern turtles, it'd be the green or the blue one. So the blue one I haven't sort of worn a lot yet. The green one I've worn hiking. The green's a very versatile one, I have to say. This is a great watch. And I actually want the sapphire Cyclops there. Actually, I'm not sure if it's sapphire. It might be their Hardlex thing. But I want it to be even bigger. I love the people that get annoyed by these things. Yeah, sometimes I find them silly as well. But look how nicely they magnify it. The lume on this is freaking fantastic. This is one of the most impressive watches for lume. I'll put it on again. I really like how this watch wears. I gotta say, Seiko does so much to make sure that their dive watches are comfortable wearing. And one of the things that the candy bar magnifier, boom, you named it. Do I think the Grand Seiko chronograph is overpriced? Probably. There's so many chronographs out there. It's a fantastic one. But these days, Grand Seiko is getting quite aggressive with pricing. And as a collector, I can't keep up. I mean, I believe that you should probably spend $15,000 on some of the Grand Seikos and up. But, you know, they have like solid gold ones that are more expensive than, like with just the case in gold and the strap, that are more expensive than a solid gold Rolex President. At that point, it's like, I don't know. I think they just sort of went up a little bit in value, like just a little bit too fast for me. And so what they're trying to do is they're trying to court a new generation of watch buyer, but I'm not sure what they're doing to say, hey, you that liked Grand Seiko of last generation, here's how to get you into Grand Seiko of today. I mean, you go to the store and they still have a lot of the old generation models at the old generation prices of like, I don't know, 5,000 or 6,000. And then you're like, okay, now they're 9, 10, 11, 12,000, 13,000. And I think the consumer is a little bit confused. So I still love Grand Seiko a lot, and they're probably still worth it at those prices. But for people like me, they haven't yet pulled me along to their sort of world of new pricing without explaining like what's up. All right, someone said a bunch of stuff about that. I didn't really get a chance to see. So whatever someone just recently said, if you want me to comment on it, say it again. Yeah, the ceramic bezel, Running Dad's talking about that. It does make a big difference. Do I have solid gold watches that I ball out? Are we going to be balling for a while? I have to say, the times, and they haven't been my watches, when I've like really got excited walking around with like a blingy watch with diamonds. I am someone that if I had the money and I wanted to be obnoxious like that, I would wear just fully diamond covered like Piagets and just stuff like that, just crazy things like that. Even the diamond Rolexes, they're nice. It can go really bad really fast. Like I've seen aftermarket diamond jobs look horrible. One of the things I've come to appreciate with my exposure to the ultra high-end brands is the art form of gem setting and gem selection and precious stones and things like that. It very much is an art form, and you know, which as is obvious, it can go very bad very fast. I'm trying to think if I can pull out one more watch to talk about here on the show before we say goodbye for now. I'll show you something interesting that, again, I get interested. I'll tell you why. You guys are not going to like this watch. It's not a watch that has diamonds on it. What'd you say about tonight? I seem picky. The bizarre persistence of mechanical. I've written articles about that. Bring out something nice, personal collection. No, I gotta look. I have stuff in the safe. I gotta go get it. I prepare some things right now. I can't just like leave you guys for 10 minutes and just like go get something. You know, you just want to see a bunch of watches on a table. Okay, so this watch, this is from Original Grain, which is a brand that like I never would have taken seriously. And then they're like, okay, we've made a Swiss-made product. What do you think about it? And Original Grain is one of these watches that like did wood. And I've always loved the idea of having wood in a watch. I remember Ralph Lauren came out with their wood watches. And I was like, that's super nice, but like they're like $30,000 or something like that. So this is the first watch that is meant to appeal to enthusiasts that has wood in it that isn't like insanely expensive that I know of. I guess there's a few other little ones that have wood on the dial, but this is like trying to be that. It needs to be. I know. You guys are not going to like it in this generation. It's got some. It's a sort of start, but the next generation of high-end watches is probably going to come to a degree from brands like this. Good night, guy. Truth fears guilty. I have to understand what that means. Again, this is rough and early, but this is their first attempt to appeal to a watch enthusiast audience. It's not perfect. I do like those triangles of wood on the bracelet. I think that theme can be refined a lot. If coronavirus will kill some watch companies, I mean, a lot of them are on the precipice of dying as it is. I mean, yes, it will definitely kill some of them. Again, this is this watch is for early adopters. I mean, look at this, for example, here. This is kind of an interesting thing. So the case is thicker than the bracelet. And so you have this intersection here where the bracelet is low and this is high, but this is sharp. So like that doesn't make it super comfortable underneath. Thank you, David. Is that like an emoticon throwing up green? Yeah, that's a 2824 in here. Original grain. I forget what they call this thing. Oh, the Grain Master. Yeah, maybe this is an SW200. I haven't had a good look yet. Okay, everyone. That has been Downtime 2020 with Ariel Adams. Watches at Home with Ariel Adams. Episode 4, March 23rd. We have a whole other month of this. What are you guys going to do to cope? What should I do? Should I take you guys outside? Should we take a road trip? Like, what should we do? Yes, thank you, Phil. This has been fun. Do I have any non-turtles? Non-king turtles? I don't know. I might. I'll see what I find. All right, everyone. We're going to do these tomorrow about the same time. Comment about what you want to see, what you want to hear about. If you want to have different times, I'm willing to show you whatever you want, talk about things. We're going to experiment a little bit with this, but thank you for all the engagement and stuff like that. I am, again, Ariel Adams from aBlogtoWatch. This has been Downtime 2020, and we'll see you later. Bye.